So in the US, all these changes took place mostly in the first half of the 20th century, a little beyond. And so they're basically invisible to us now, which is why we look at our food system and we think it's normal, but we're actually seeing a food system that is completely distorted by refrigeration. And what's interesting is if you go to a place that has only just refrigerated or is still refrigerating, you can see those shifts take place, which is why I went to China to visit the factory of the frozen dumpling mogul who brought frozen food to China. This is the frozen dumpling factory. He was a surgeon, and when Deng Xiaoping said, oh, some people are going to get rich, this surgeon decided he would like to be one of those. And so he harvested some parts from some of the hospital machinery and built a freezer system. He was already famous in the neighborhood for his homemade dumplings, and he just started a dumpling factory. But what's amazing is when you go there, you can see the same things played out here. So there was initially a very intense distrust, and there still is amongst a certain generation when I talk to folks about could refrigerated and frozen food be good? Could it really be okay? And the frozen dumpling mogul told me that actually the drip right there on the dumpling is very important. That signified freshness. They tried to sell the dumplings in a package without the drip, and they weren't selling, and the drip somehow sort of communicated a freshness to folks. You can. I visited people who are breeding Chinese vegetables to be cold storage tolerant, so their vegetables are changing in real time. Their diets are changing. Where things are grown is changing. So there's a big Chinese government project called the South to North Vegetable Transfer that is shifting where things are grown. These are Chinese apples going out to the world. It's changing where food is sold. So wet markets are turning into Walmarts, and that changes how often people shop. It changes the layout of their houses. It changes the layout of cities. So you could see all of those things kind of changing in real time. And what's crazy about China is, so in 2010, the Chinese government made refrigeration part of their 12th five-year plan. They were like, we are going to refrigerate. And being China, they just did it. And so it has, in the past 10 years, the amount of refrigerated space in China has grown by more than 20 times. It's just exploded. And yet still, Chinese people have less than a third of the cold storage space of an average American per capita. So it's still happening. And it's happening now in India, and it's happening with Chinese funding in Africa. So the world is refrigerating at speed. And a lot of people are like, well, this is a good thing, right? Because diets improve. People have access to fresh vegetables and dairy and more animal protein. That's exciting. Farmers are not stuck selling all their harvest when it comes in. They can export. They can make money. They can... they don't, and then the big thing that people say is, well, food waste, right? When you don't have a cold chain, you lose a lot of food. So in a country like India, where there isn't a robust cold chain, estimates are that at least 40% is lost before it, at the farm stage, basically, before it ever gets anywhere close to the consumer. In America, where we have an amazing cold chain, well, we waste 40% on the consumer end. So the cold chain, refrigeration boosters like to say it prevents food waste, but I think it's a little more nuanced than that. It kind of just shifts where it happens. It maybe makes it easier to fix. I don't know, maybe not. This actually strikes me as harder to fix in a lot of ways,